Senator McCain, you have said repeatedly, quote, I know a lot less about economics than I do about military and foreign policy issues. I still need to be educated. Is it a problem for your campaign that the economy is now the most important issue, one that, by your own acknowledgement, you are not well versed on?
Actually, I don't know where you got that quote from. I'm very well versed in economics.
Well, now I know where you got the quote from. Now I know where you got the quote from.
I will show you where I got the quote from.
Now I know where you got the quote from.
I will show you where I got the quote from. I got it from John McCain, and here it is. McCain is refreshingly blunt when he tells me, quote, I'm going to be honest. I know a lot less about economics than I do about military and foreign policy issues. I still need to be educated. Wall Street Journal, November 26, 2005. You repeated it to the Boston Globe in December of 07. You said it.
Okay, let me tell you what I was trying to say and what I meant, and it's obvious. Okay, let me tell you what I was trying to say and what I meant, and it's obvious. I spent 22 years in the military. I spent 20 years on the Senate Armed Services Committee. I've been involved in national security issues all my life. I attended the National War College. Of course I know more about national security than any other issue. That's been my entire life. Am I smart on economics? By people like Phil Graham and Tom Coburn and Warren Rudman and Carly Farina and the real strong economic minds, Jack Kemp, the real strong minds on the economy and conservatives on the economy are supporting me. They don't think that I'm... Of course I always have things to learn, and I continue to learn every day. But I'm very strong on the economy, and frankly, my economic record is a lot stronger than that of the governor of Massachusetts when you look at his record as governor.
One of the questions that has been raised repeatedly in this campaign, Senator, is your opposition to the Bush tax cuts back in 2001, one of only 2 Republican senators. Back then you gave a floor speech and said this, I cannot in good conscience support a tax cut in which so many of the benefits go to the most fortunate among us at the expense of middle-class Americans who most need tax relief. Then you were on Meet the Press in April of 04. I asked you about that vote. I also asked you about postponing the Bush tax cut, and this is what you said.
I voted against the tax cuts because of the disproportionate amount that went to the wealthiest Americans. I would clearly support not extending those tax cuts in order to help address the deficit.
You wouldn't support extending them, but you are now supporting extending them on the radio with this ad.
I'll make the Bush tax cuts permanent.
That's a direct contradiction.
Well, at the time, I still wanted to do 2 things. One was a different set of tax cuts that also had more emphasis on middle and lower income Americans. But most importantly, we are now facing a situation with a shaky economy, with tax cuts not being permanent, then that people experience an increase in their taxes. And let me go back to 2001 again. I was right. We had to have restraint of spending. I'm proud to have been one in the Reagan Revolution where we not only cut taxes, which I'm proud to have supported and I have a record of it, but we restrained spending. And when you have tax cuts and not restrain spending and let things go completely out of control as we did, look, we lost the 2006 election because we didn't restrain spending. So I not only had a different set of tax cut proposals, which were very strong, but I also had restraint of spending. And I believe to this day, if we had adopted the tax cuts that I proposed, and I did have a strong tax cut proposal, today we'd be talking about further tax cuts instead of alienated our base by letting spending get completely out of control. And then we are facing, and it's one of the major contributors to the fiscal difficulties that we have in America today. I'm proud of my record of tax cutting. I'm proud of my record of being a fiscal conservative. Would I have had those tax cuts differently? Of course I would have. And now, right now today, Americans in 2010 are facing, unfortunately, the prospect of a tax increase when if we don't make them permanent. In a time of a very shaky economy. I think that's the worst thing we could do.
But you have changed your mind.
No, I have not changed my mind in that I want restraint of spending. I would have had a different set of tax cuts. We've got to make these tax cuts permanent. We have to, otherwise I think it'll have a negative impact on our economy.
But you told me in '04 you were against making it permanent.
In '04 our economy was fine, and I have said many, many times since then, I've said many, many times, as the tax cuts came closer to whether they need to be made permanent or not, I've said 500 times that I want the tax cuts to be made permanent. Did I want my tax plan approved when I was running in 2000? Yes, and if we'd have done what I wanted to do, we'd be talking about more tax cuts today.